Alright, what is up guys, this is Storm back here with another video, and in this one, I'm bringing you part 3 to Mightless, a My Hero Academia story by the Mysterious Banana. Now if you want to go check the story out for yourself, the link to it will be down in the description below. But before we begin, if you like the content you see, then be sure to subscribe, like, and comment. I mean, they're all free, so why not? If you want some dope channel merch, the link to that will be down in the description below. If you want to see more of me, go check out my other channels and go follow me on Twitter and Instagram, which will all be linked down below in the description. But without further ado, why don't we just dive right on in. Sirens ran in the distance as Orio collapsed against the center fountain, staring at Izuku with fearful eyes. The green, lively, mad eyes emitted a gleam that pierced into his soul, making him tremble in fear. Izuku walked slowly towards him, smiling sadistically as he raised his bloody pair of scissors. "Hey kid, the cops are coming, it's time to go," yelled Sachi in the distance. Suddenly, Izuku snapped out of his trance. Lying down at his victim distributed a pungent feeling of shock throughout his system, making him pant heavily and sweat as he dropped to his knees. What was that? What the fuck was that? He thought as he felt a strong pull as Sachi grabbed him and ran. When the police arrived on scene, the duo was long gone, leaving the place trashed. Looking towards the center fountain, they found the Orio slumped over and trembling with fear. As the head chief went up, he noticed his stab wound and requested immediate backup. The news agency and ambulances arrived soon after, as they draped the trembling hero in a medical blanket and interrogated him in the ambulance. "Tell me, Orio, what happened?" asked the police chief. The trembling hero looked at him and mumbled, "I'm quitting." "Excuse me?" asked the police chief. "I can't face that, not the second time," Orio responded. "Face that? Face who?" Izuku popped into L'Oreal's head once again as he curled into a ball. "True villain." Izuku found himself in an alleyway, not the most welcoming place to wake up in, but he was too emotionally drained to feel fear, or any emotion at all for that matter. All he wanted to do was fall back asleep and hope it was all just a bad dream. That man, it wasn't him. It couldn't be. He would never have enjoyed the suffering of others so thoroughly. Was it the satisfaction of fighting back that gave him such enjoyment? Was it the bloodlust? Him just getting too into his role as a savior of who he believed was the real victim. He didn't want to think much. All he knew was whoever that was. He would prefer just keeping him locked deep within his subconscious. "So, you're finally awake," said a familiar voice. It was Sachi, who was sitting in a pile of boxes right across him. "You're still here?" asked Izuku. "I've been here, waiting for you to wake up," said Sachi. "How long was I out?" asked Izuku. 2 hours. "I wouldn't say from fatigue, rather emotional shock," responded Sachi, before springing upwards and rushing to Izuku. "Now tell me how you did those awesome tricks," he said, with a sudden burst of livelihood and excitement. Tricks?" asked Izuku in confusion. "Yeah, you know, the thing you did back there against Boreal," he said, purposely modifying his name. "Ah, those, I just threw hairspray at him. It was said to be able to keep hair stale," responded Izuku. "Whoa, I never thought of that. You really know how to improvise. Man, I envy you," said Sachi. Envy? He who was bullied since youth, laughed at for his ambitions, having his dream crushed and grounded by those he cared about and admired, the only living human being, possibly, to have no quirk, was being envied upon. "Do you actually mean that?" asked Izuku. "Yeah, I've always admired smart and dedicated people like you," Sachi said with a suddenly depressed tone. "Shame I wasn't the same. I'm a slow thinker and give up easily. I just wish I could have a quirk-brain quirk like yours." Izuku felt his built-up hope crumble once again. A quirk? He envied him over a quirk he doesn't have. He knew it. Nobody wants to be like him. He's just a notebook example of rock bottom. "Sorry to burst your bubble, Sachi. I have no quirk," said Izuku in a saddened tone. You could see Sachi's eyes take up a shocked expression. "So, you're quirkless?" asked Sachi. "Come on, laugh." That's the only thing that's missing now, he thought, bracing himself for the pity laughs he was showered in for years. "That's even more awesome, my boy. You are a young genius," Sachi cheered him while shaking him. Izuku was confused by his joy. "Wait, so you're not gonna laugh at me?" asked Izuku. "Why would I, and why should I?" You can defeat a man who spent 3 years in Yuuei training his quirk to defeat other quirk users all without any special powers. You have no special powers, but that's what makes you special. Now come here, my partner, Sachi said while giving him a huge hug. Although something about all this just didn't feel right to Izuku. How could this be a villain? He was so cheerful, so encouraging, and he did what an actual hero, nay, the #1 pro hero and the man he admired all of his life couldn't do. He believed in him. How could someone like you be a villain? Izuku asked in confusion. Sachi let Izuku go from his bear hug and answered, Well, I hurt people. Frankly, I'm surprised someone actually came to save me back there, said Sachi. Of course, I had to, said Izuku. Sachi sat down and looked him directly in the eyes. Look, kid, I've killed people in the past. I've been convicted of robbery and scamming. People like me are the kind of guys you'd see in prison. Because I had to is no answer to my question. So I'm gonna ask you again. Why did you save me? Sachi asked in a serious tone. Izuku clenched his fist. Because you look like you were in need of help. Yet, because of your status, people neglect you, ridicule you, and turn away from you. And I know how that feels. Because of my lack of a quirk, my mother is overprotective and doesn't let me follow my dream of becoming a hero because she thinks I might get hurt. I get picked on at the park and at school because I have no means to defend myself. There are times where I would spend my entire day looking at videos of other heroes because they have the life that I want, but even they turn me down. I spent my whole life crying for help, yet no one came. So when I saw you on your knees begging, I didn't see a villain. I looked into your eyes and I saw myself, he cried out. At that point, the tears just kept going. He always suffered, was always left in the dirt. All of his problems, his sorrow, his inner demons. He just wanted to cry them out, to have them leave his body. Being able to let out all his frustration was just too much for him. Feeling lightheaded, he dropped to his knees, but luckily Sachi was there to catch him. It's alright, kid. Just breathe, said Sachi. Sachi, what are villains really like? Izuku suddenly asked. While we may look merciless on the outside, many of us are still human on the inside. Of course, there are hundreds of exceptions, but for the most part, we were just born under the wrong star. Whether it was abusive parents, a poor family, or having a family member that holds a criminal record. The sad part is, due to these circumstances, we were never able to live a normal life, so we rob and sometimes even kill just to get by on life. We are the ones heroes should be helping, yet they prey on us like we were never welcomed in the first place, answered Sachi. I can see that. I've always had a feeling of not belonging, yet no one seemed to care about me. It was as if there's just always meant to be a hero and a villain, said Izuku. That's what I was thinking, ranted Sachi. They claim they want peace. Shouldn't that mean reduce the amount of villains instead of whack a villain if they show up? Izuku started to leave the alley. Where are you going? Asked Sachi. I see what these heroes truly want now, said Izuku. What they want is fame. And what better way for a hero to become famous than to beat the bad guys? I now see. Villains are just the people society selects to hate. The weak that only exist to be preyed upon. I'm not standing for this. If it's a villain they want. Izuku clenched his fists as he lifted his dirtied All Might hood and hid his face in the mask. Then it's a villain they'll get. Izuku, I was so worried, cried Inko. She hugged Izuku the second he came through the door. It's fine, Mom. I'm fine, said Izuku, smiling happily. Well, you look like you had a good time today. Something happened? Asked Inko, noticing his smile. Oh, nothing. I just came through a breakthrough, said Izuku. I now know what I want to do when I grow up. Really? What is it, Izuku? Asked Inko. Izuku smiled. A hero, Izuku lied, before running to his room, leaving his mother confused. Didn't you always want to be a hero, Izuku? Inko asked, but no response. Running into his room, he opened his laptop, only this time. He wasn't searching for heroes, but for villains. Their names, quirks, usual locations where they appear at. He needed to know who he could trust. One villain, however, piqued his attention, and his name was Kai Chiaki. Soon after, he opened a book hidden under his bed. The one he knew he couldn't bring to school since Bakugo would have destroyed it. His own, a handmade hero encyclopedia. The book contained the names, quirks, backgrounds, and sometimes even weaknesses of all known heroes he observed, and noted through the course of nearly 5 years. He knew that since he didn't have a quirk, he was going to have to counter other quirk users. But he knew that since he was going to be fighting heroes, he would need to team up with other villains. Hence, he needed his own villain identity. After an hour of scribbling, he finally came up with his new identity, Mightless, the Hero Hunter.
愛してる